Okay, picture this. It's maybe 3 a.m., could be 4. Outside, it's quiet, maybe raining, everything muffled. But inside your head, oh, it's loud, painfully loud. You're wide awake, and you are just deep in that unresolved trouble over love.
That feeling.
Yeah. Because only hours ago you had the conversation again. And, structurally it was pretty good, polite, mature even,
Yeah.
mostly. But it absolutely fundamentally failed.
Right. It's that kind of dinner table discussion, isn't it? Where you've tried really valiantly, maybe for the 10th time, to explain something deep-seated like your need for personal solitude, how you withdraw when you get stressed out.
Exactly. And the person you love, they didn't attack you for it, not directly. Instead, they responded by explaining their immediate sort of instinctive panic, let's call it Z, that your distance triggers in them.
Yes. The moment where, impeccable reason just slams into an immutable structure.
Yeah.
You probably countered then, maybe with a bit more irritation creeping in.
Maybe just a little.
That even though you know their need for connection, let's call that A, is totally valid, the way they chase that connection makes you feel like they think your silence is B, a personal rejection.
And that feeling is what pushes you further away. It's maddening.
It's the perfect loop, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mutually valid needs creating, mutually assured destruction in that moment.
Yeah.
And that right there, that's the architecture of the impasse we're diving into today. Because you were both trying, really trying, with all the tools, calmness, kindness, patience.
All the I statements.
All of it. Yet when you finally went to separate rooms, maybe after a kiss that felt affectionate but kind of hollow.
Hollow is the word.
You both just knew that terrible silent truth, that conversation. It wasn't enough. It didn't fix it.
And that's why the darkness feels so heavy right then. So our mission today, diving into the scenario, the polite failed negotiation, is really to ask why. Why is this part of life so incredibly resistant to our rational efforts?
And maybe more importantly, what kind of philosophical shift can help us when the solutions just stubbornly refuse to show up?
Okay, so where do we start with that? How do we even categorize this kind of impossible argument?
Well, it's interesting. The material we looked at doesn't just call it a conflict. It identifies it as something quite specific and actually harder. A symmetric structural conflict.
Symmetric structural conflict.
That's the first key idea, really.
Yeah.
It means it's a conflict where both people's needs are fundamentally valid, totally legitimate, but expressing them inherently negates the other person's need.
So it's not about who's right or wrong.
Exactly. It's not about finding the correct position. It's like two immovable objects trying to occupy the exact same space at the same time. It just doesn't work.
And that explains the weight of it. Because the effort you put in, you really tried. You went into that dinner maybe with a whole mental script trying so hard to bridge that gap with calm and kindness. And you still walked away knowing deep down that whatever resolution you reached was temporary, fragile, just not enough to quiet that core anxiety humming underneath the relationship.
And this is where the damage starts to compound, isn't it? It moves beyond just that one argument. We start carrying this ledger of past failures.
Oh, yeah.
The memory of all those impasses that never really got resolved, they build up like scar tissue. It's that dawning realization that there are these core areas, these non-negotiables, where neither of you can fundamentally change your reaction enough to fully please the other person.
That scar tissue, that's the real emotional burden, right? Realizing you're both, maybe slowly, maybe unintentionally, but definitely disappointing each other deeply. You kind of shift, don't you, from being an active participant trying to fix things to just being this helpless observer.
And that observation is just soul-sapping.
Yeah.
Watching love ratchet down notch by little notch, not because anyone was being particularly malicious, but it's just because of this structural conflict. It's crushing because you feel like you've done all the work. You've used the communication tools. You've read the books. You've had the therapy maybe. And you're still staring at this thing that feels completely insurmountable.
And we internalize that failure, don't we? We think, what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out?
Absolutely. Which leads directly to those brutal 3 a.m. questions hitting you with such clarity.
Yeah, like, what fundamental thing do I keep doing wrong in love? Is this constant failure proof that maybe we just don't belong together, despite all the history, all the kindness?
Why is it this hard for us?
Exactly. And then for a moment, the escape fantasy flickers, right?
Ah, yes, the quick exit.
Just leave. Wipe the slate clean. You picture new dates, maybe, new beginnings. That little spark of hope that you might meet someone who just gets it. Gets your need for space or gets your need for connection without these exhausting 2-hour negotiations.
But that fantasy, and maybe this is a blessing, it tends to curdle pretty quickly.
It really does.
And this is where there's a powerful psychological anchor, something called the Gorgon effect.
The Gorgon effect,
Yeah.
like Medusa turning to stone.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
It's that sudden, paralyzing confrontation with the sheer horror of starting all over again.
Oh, God, yeah.
You look at the idea of dating apps or forming a new bond from scratch, and you have this sharp realization, these exact frustrations, these kinds of structural clashes, they aren't unique to your partner. They're sort of baked into the cake of human connection itself.
So the problems are everywhere. You can run, but you can't hide.
That's the Gorgon effect, realizing the ubiquity of the problems. You just be trading the familiar, painful known for a potentially terrifying, universally difficult unknown.
And you realize you'd lose everything you've built, the shared jokes, the history, the way your lives are intertwined, just to probably hit a different version of the same wall with someone else in 6 months or a year.
Right. So, okay, if solutions seem impossible in that moment, and escape is revealed as maybe even worse, what do you actually need when you're lying there at 3 a.m.?
Well, usually we think we need the answer, the fix, the 5-point plan for perfect conflict resolution.
We crave the solution.
Desperately.
But the deeper realization, the thing that resonates from the material we looked at, is that maybe more than a solution, what you desperately want is sympathy. Sympathy for how incredibly difficult the impasse is. The true profound need isn't for the fix itself, but for someone, maybe even just an internal voice, or maybe us right now, to look at the situation and just say, I know how hard this is. Someone who gets that there isn't a neat solution right now because the problem is structural, not just behavioral.
So less about needing fixes, more about needing validation for the struggle itself.
Exactly. We need to know we're not idiots.
Right. Not uniquely stupid for failing at this particular thing.
We need confirmation that other sensible, grown-up, intelligent people we respect have been right here, staring at the ceiling in the middle of the night, wondering if this difficulty is just one of life's terrible, necessary parts.
Which leads us to why we beat ourselves up so much about it, doesn't it? We treat failure in love like failing some fundamental pass-fail test of adulthood.
We really do. We try to bring the same kind of methodical precision to love that works so well in other parts of our lives.
Yeah. Think about work, or even just organizing your house. You can sort out a filing system perfectly, digitally, chronologically, whatever.
Impeccably.
You can balance a spreadsheet down to the last cent, perfect symmetry, resolution achieved. You can organize a kitchen cupboard like it's a work of art. And we somehow expect that same level of immaculate sorting in our emotional lives, especially in our main relationship.
But love just isn't a cupboard, is it?
Yeah.
And it's definitely not an accounting document. It wasn't designed for impeccable sorting because it involves two incredibly complex, constantly moving, often contradictory systems, two human beings trying to mesh.
So demanding that impeccable sorting is where the exhaustion comes from, because the standard itself is impossible.
That's a huge part of it. It sets an impossible bar.
Okay, so if the rational, solution-focused approach keeps failing, and the pressure for perfection is actually part of the problem, where does that leave us? Is it just throwing up our hands? Fatalism.
Not quite fatalism. More like what the source material calls a bracing pessimistic philosophy.
Bracing pessimism sounds bracing.
It is, in a way, but it's not nihilism. It's a kind of realism that actually relieves pressure. It gives you permission to stop pathologizing what might just be inevitable difficulty. It stops asking what's wrong with us and starts asking maybe what's inherently difficult about human connection.
Okay, but isn't there a danger there? If you start telling yourself, oh, love is impossible anyway, doesn't that just become an excuse, a self-fulfilling prophecy? What's the cost of that pessimism?
That's a fair question. The cost really is giving up the fantasy that it should be easy, or even solvable in the way we solve technical problems.
Giving up the fantasy of effortlessness.
Exactly. But the benefit, potentially profound relief. This philosophy isn't saying give up. It's starting from a different baseline. Like, of course you're miserable sometimes, you're alive.
Okay.
Or, of course it's a mess sometimes, welcome to existence.
Right, existence is messy.
And maybe even, of course love feels impossible sometimes. You're a human being trying to connect deeply with another human being.
Yeah.
It just normalizes the struggle.
So stop treating the relationship like it's some neat equation we just haven't found the right variable for yet. Stop pathologizing the mess.
Precisely. It's about reframing the struggle. And look, Consider the evidence, just anecdotally or statistically. The number of people who have this area of life completely, perfectly sorted out, who have zero 3 a.m. doubts, ever.
It has to be tiny.
It's minuscule,
Mm.
maybe below 1%, if that. So your struggle, it doesn't make you an outlier. It makes you normal.
That's actually quite comforting. The statistical relief. My failure here isn't a sign I'm exceptionally stupid.
You are not an idiot. You are most likely averagely mad, averagely emotionally perturbed.
Huh?
Averagely mad. I like that.
Trying to do something that is exceptionally, extraordinarily, maybe even dementedly hard, which is maintaining a deep, harmonious, evolving connection with another completely autonomous human being over potentially decades.
The problem is the task, not necessarily my specific inadequacy at
The
it.
sheer difficulty of the task itself, yes.
Okay, so this perspective shift, it's not really about just accepting misery, is it? It's more about accepting the challenge inherent in it all. It stops feeling like a unique, personal failure.
And that reframing is what allows for compassion, because once you acknowledge how truly dementedly hard the task is, you can start to grant yourself some grace. And maybe grant your partner some grace too.
Right.
You can look at the situation and recognize, okay, we're both trying to bridge this symmetric structural conflict. And sometimes maybe that bridge just can't be built to perfect, impeccable specifications. Maybe good enough or trying our best has to be enough. So, circling back to that person, staring at the ceiling, hearing the rain. The real relief isn't necessarily finding the magic solution tomorrow morning.
Probably not.
It's more about acknowledging the shared, almost universal difficulty of it all, realizing the sheer enormity of the task you've both signed up for.
And that is where the necessary compassion comes in, isn't it? The 3 a.m. compassion isn't just self-pity. It's recognizing this isn't your unique flaw. It's a shared human struggle.
The struggle to make two flawed, complicated, changing people work together within the messy constraints of existence.
Exactly. And the really profound shift, the one that might actually change the dynamic more than any 5-point plan, it happens when you replace that desperate demand for a perfect solution, that need for impeccable sorting with shared sympathy for the impasse itself.
Shared sympathy.
Yeah. Imagine really looking at your partner, seeing them struggling with their own complexities, their own side of the structural conflict, and thinking not just, why can't you understand me, but
Poor you.
poor you.
And poor us, both of us, struggling with this incredibly hard thing, that admission, that shared acknowledgement of the difficulty. Sometimes that's the most loving and maybe the most helpful thing you can do.